So that's important. And then dress also. There are hadiths about man tashabbaha biqawmin fahuwa minhum. Whoever imitates a people is from them. And so one of my teachers, Abdullah At-Tiridi, who was a student of Shaykh al-Ghumari, and I actually have ijazah from him from Morocco. Shaykh al-Ghumari was very rigid and strict about things, and he wrote books. Shaykh Abdullah has a book, Al-Istinfar fi Ghazar al-Tashabbuh bil-Kuffar, like calling people to fight the ghazwa of not imitating the kuffar. And that's his book. And it's all these hadiths. It's a litany of hadith about not imitating non-Arabs, about don't dress like the Ajam, and don't... Sidi al-Mawaq said all of the hadith that relate to not imitating the Ajam are specific to the Arab. They have no relationship to Ajam that become Muslim. So this idea of not dressing like, you know, and then you see converts who suddenly put on a robe and a ghutra, you know, thinking that this is Islam. There's no dress of Islam. There is no dress in this religion that is specific to the religion. The Prophet ﷺ wore a Habashi shirt. He wore a Roman shirt. It was a Romani, qamis Romani. Kana dayiq. It had narrow sleeves. He wore a Yemeni red striped jubba that one of the Sahaba said, I never saw anything more beautiful than the Prophet in that red striped jubba, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he was international in his dress. He didn't wear anything specific to indicate. Now, he did wear a turban. And he did cover his head. But he also went hasir al-ras to show that it wasn't haram not to cover your head. The Andalusians, the urf of the Andalusians was not to wear anything on their head. So the Andalusians did not, in Mauritania, the Mauritanian urf for the men is not to wear anything. They have the turban wrapped around their neck, and then when they go out in the sun, they put it on. Shaykh Abdullah bin Bayya, all the time, he just, right when he gets inside, he pulls off his turban and he puts it down, right? So the turban, undeniably, it's arguable that it's from the Sunnah. There's a khilaf about it, but it's arguable. But, let me give you an example. The Maliki said, it's only Sunnah if you do it with tahniq. So you have to do the turban wrapped under the chin, because that's the way the Prophet ﷺ wore his turban, with a du'aba, wearing like the way Jama'at Tabligh puts down and has two, they have two coming out. The Prophet did that, but he wore it under his neck. And this is why the Muhannak was the alim who had the tahniq. He reached a level and he started wearing the turban with the tahniq. So Uthman Danfodio says, if it doesn't have the tahniq, it's not sunnah. So if you put a turban on your head, it's a turban, but it's not the sunnah turban. That's his opinion. Other scholars didn't go by that. So these are khilaf issues. So if the urf is not to wear the hat, which is the common urf in most places now, not to cover the head for males. But it's actually not good for you because the sun goes through the hair. And if you're in areas where there's a lot of sun, it's actually very bad to be exposed to sun. You can get cancer. That's why if you go to a dermatologist, they'll check your hair, under your hair, because it's a very common place to get skin cancer. And we know now that exposure to the sun is except for very small amounts to get your vitamin D, you know, like 10 minutes a day maximum. But other than that, it's not a good thing to be exposed to the sun. And people that have a lot of sun exposure, they wrinkle quicker, they have a lot of skin problems, especially if they're from northern climates. So traditionally, people covered their head, in both male and female. Now, female coverage is the urf of the Bani Adam. I mean, women have covered their head in every civilization, except for Aboriginal peoples, who usually wore very limited. They didn't have textiles, so they didn't make cloth. You know, most of them wore skins and things like that. Aboriginal peoples and the elite, who have always not done things. But the Byzantine women covered completely, like a lot of some of the areas in the Gulf, the modern Gulf Arabs, where they cover even with the niqab. That was a Byzantine tradition. And Marshall Hodgson argues that it actually was adopted by the Muslims from the Byzantines, because it was the elite women that covered their faces, not the common women. And historically, in the Muslim world, it was the elite women, which is why on Hajj they're not allowed to cover their face, because it was something that distinguished the wealthy from the poor. So the women on Hajj weren't supposed to cover their face. And that's a khilaf issue. I don't want to get into that, because some madhabs say that the face is awra. The majority is not. But there are some of the ulama that said the face of a woman is awra, she should cover her face. It's a weak opinion, traditionally. And then they say that fasad al-zaman, a relative hukum about fasad al-zaman, because there's an argument that every zaman outside of the prophetic period was a corrupt period. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam.